Oh, they'll be calling you a radical. March Madness used to be a major, gigantic deal right around here. I mean, giant deal. Weber State was always in the tournament and always had great teams. We got games here. I was just thinking about that great 78-79 team. And I was doing an anti-nuclear energy protest with the Grateful Dead, of all places. And so Weber State opened the season that year at Cal State Long Beach. I think 2 or 3 NBA players came off that team. Was it Greg Hodges on that team? I think he was a freshman. I went to that game. I still have the ticket. So that team was so good with Neil McCarthy. But the luck in the draw, there was 40 teams. They had to play, that was a different type of playing game then. It was 40 teams, and they beat New Mexico State, who was an incredible team. So then they had to match up against Arkansas. I got the luck of the draw. Sidney Moncrief, Ronnie Brewer. By the way, when the Michigan State, Indiana State final was here in Salt Lake. Yeah, at the Huntsman. I went to it. Bird versus Magic. The closest game either one of those teams had was against Arkansas in that bracket. I mean, that came down to a buzzer beater. They lost by 2. So, has this ended up a new low? Gotta go with that left, Jared Harding. So he's back turning it up. God, he does well over there. I want to go over there. I really want to go over there and watch him play. God, he is some kind of player, man. So, just a guard shooting 62%. All these great players at 78-19. Mark Mattos, who still holds the assist record. No one's even close. Dillon Jones broke every other record here. Dave Johnson, who I knew really well. I remember doing the last year on the print business right over here for him. Richard Smith, the great Bruce Collins, and the incredible Neil McCarthy. I don't give him enough credit. What a fantastic coach. What a great coach. So, Weber State was perennial, but we always got, Arnie Farron died this year. He was head of the NCAA committee. Who has a ring? Oh, NBA championship? Yeah, NBA championship. That first year, 58-59. Walt Masaka, the first player of color in the history of the NBA. Oh, he played at Weber State. Yeah, when they were over there on 25th Street in that beautiful gym. Byron Scott's dad played there. Who's that? Byron Scott's from here, Alan Holmes. But remember, we had all those great games in here. We got tournament games in here. 83, the second round. Yeah. What were there? 7-8 seed. Jimmy Valvano. I watched him cut down the nets. Then another great Louisville team played here. The McRae brothers. They won the national championship. They came out of here. How about Jason Kidd's last game here when they got beat by the Cheeseheads, Wisconsin Green Bay? I mean, God, I can go on and on. This was such an exciting time here. The rain is all that, and Weber State had such great teams. I got in a big fight with Randy Ray, huge fight. I knew him and Stu Morrill from Wendover, of all places. That's where I knew Danny from. He's in the Danny Sprinkle. Everybody that was anybody, March Madness was so exciting, so fun, they would descend on Wendover. That's where we'd all watch the games. Of course, Stu Morrill was always playing slot machines, but, and Stu Morrill was always in the tournament. Every year he'd have those great teams at Utah State, but they'd get beat. So, BYU, I got to tell this story about Dillon Hall's my neighbor. So I'm coming home from somewhere. I think I'd been in Europe. And my car was over at my daughter's house, took the train, got the car, blah, blah. I'm so exhausted, whatever. I'm just out of it. One of those 24-hour trips, fly, trains, planes, automobiles. And I get home, and I'm driving home, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It comes off 12th Street and I-15. a bus with a police escort. I'm like, what the hell? And then it hit me. I'm like, oh, it's got to be Dillon home. You know, it's got to be him. And it's got to be Fremont. Must have won the state championship. And I didn't know because I wasn't following. I was in Europe. I look it up. Sure as shit. How good is he? The BYU team's fantastic, but they're notorious chokers in the tournament, aren't they? They always get a great seed. They draw well, and they always choke. I go back to here. Jimmer. That's all we heard when Damian Lillard was here. Of course, that giant upset. The Wattis curse. I mean, I can go on and on and on about Weber State basketball, especially right here in this building. This incredible, the Utah Construction Merger build. This to build this building today would cost billions with a plural, billions. It's that great of a masterpiece. It's the greatest recruiting tool in the world. And well, now the second greatest recruiting tool here is Damian Lillard. So, but they can't ever go to the tournament. They can't win. Big Sky basketball, is it broken? Oh yeah, it's been broken for a while. Always great teams. I go back to that Idaho State team. I was at that game in the Marriott Center. I was at that game when they upset UCLA. I went to the Elite Eight with a local kid from Pocatello up there, Hayes. Oh, they were all that. What a great team. Big Sky basketball always went deep into the tournament in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Harold Arsenault, the show. Jimmy DeGraffley, Ruben Nemhart, Eddie Gill, Alex Jensen. I mean, whoa. Andy and Alex Jensen. The only team that's ever, well, the University of Utah team went to the, was that 98? The championship game was ahead at halftime. So Big Sky doesn't even have a team in the field of 64. What? First time in history. Well, they might. They got a play-in game. Montana State won the tournament. They got hot. Oh, did they got hot. In both games, they beat Weber State and Montana, and I mean got hot. They got some fantastic players. That fourth or third, something else. I mean, what a credit to that coach. He had them ready. And he outcoached both those coaches for Montana and Weber State. They got heavily out. Weber State was ahead by 13 points. Remember, Weber State has an NBA first rounder. I got him at number 5. I got him, Lillard won at 6. I used to talk that shit all the time about Lillard. Nobody got on Lillard. Nobody paid attention to Lillard till then he was rookie of the year. Weber State didn't give him the time of day. No media around here gave him the time of day. When he became rookie of the year, they had jerseys on billboards and buses selling them. Oh, Dillon got the publicity here, but people still didn't come. I knew we were kind of in trouble when Gordon Monson wrote a piece about him after the fact. I said, he's been here for 4 fucking years. Where you guys been? Where you been, Freebird? I mean, they're up by, 13? Dillon Jones just killing them. They quit giving the ball to Dillon Jones. And then instead of calling timeout, hey, let's go boxing one. That's what, it's this simple. I want people to understand. You got a team that's on fire from the arc that cannot miss threes. You just switch and go to a box and one. You know what a box and one zone is. And you press the box and one. They can't set picks. They can't freaking roll. Let them beat you with 2s. Why would you take 2 when you can have 3? I used to always say I had AAU teams. I had county rec. I had teams all over. Undefeated teams. Great teams. Go talk to the kids who used to play for me. I remember 3-on-3 when we smoked freaking John Stockton's kids. So, these guys are too analytical and they're too caught in their ways. Weber State basketball is a disaster. It is so far downhill. Randy Ray could never win a big game. Remember, this Weber State team beat Oral Roberts on the road, beat Wyoming on the road, beat St. Mary's on the road. But this is a team that lost to Idaho State twice. They beat Montana State here by 20-something points. Lost to them back-to-back by, I still can't believe it. So, remember Montana State team that lost to Rocky Mountain? They were under 500. They won the tournament, and they got to 17-17. Of course, they're going to get a play-in game, rightfully so. Here's the problem with the Big Sky. And it's been a disaster since Randy, and I will quote the great Harold Arsenault of the show this year on the floor, who I know personally, him and the great Eddie Gill were here. Jensen was here. I sat with Jensen's dad at that game up there. I was with Paul Thompson when they fired a Bagelin. I was such close friends with a Bagelin, and I was the guy that kept Ruben Nemhart in class. What a great player. Jimmy DeGrafferty should have been this coach. Jimmy DeGrafferty, why do we not like our own people here? So this athletic department, what they've done on the 2 coaching positions, Jay Hill leaves. He had enough of it. I mean, the greatest football coach, the greatest coach in the history of this football program, bar none, none's even close. The incredible Jay Hill. I got to get this out and give my friend a call out because that's coming up. All the work, and I've been fighting for my life and stuck here. The famous biologist, probably the most famous scientist in modern history. You're looking at him. I've been fighting for my life with cancer, open heart surgery. The only people that gave me any love and gave me any respect the whole time, because I've done nothing but support these players 100%. Of course, I love Dillon. He's awesome. He's been nice to me. He's a good guy. All these guys are. But was after the game, Maxwell Anderson. Well, I think he'll play in the NBA. I really do. That this Big Sky football, they don't draft guys. Ask Rashid Shaheed. What Jay Hill got 5, 6 players. Adam Rodriguez just tearing it up in the USFL. Jonah Williams. TJ, both TJs. I mean, the NFL played a clip in week 3 or 4 of the top 5 plays in the NFL that Sunday. 3 Weber State players, undrafted. By the way, I see Opeta signed with Tampa Bay. Thank you, God. Getting back in the starting position. Rashid Shaheed playing. Let's see, a Pro Bowl player who plays for the minimum. He's like him. Rashid wasn't drafted. He was non-drafted. He's making the league minimum. It blows my mind, actually. I've called it out. I supported the shit out of him. But after the game, his last game, Maxwell, I did the play-by-play on Maxwell's first game. They played at San Diego State when Rashid ran a kickoff back on his birthday, and they called it back. And all I did was call Maxwell Anderson. But that's right when, how do you get fired from a job that don't pay? KWCR, they sold off the signal, got rid of sports radio, and they got rid of investigative journalism here. Well, welcome to, Ogden, Utah. Well, look at here. This place should be packed, getting ready for March Madness, whatever. So after the game, still in uniform, his last game, Maxwell Anderson came up to me and gave me this. Signed it. And thanked me for everything that I've done for him. I says, well, thank you, All I've done is try to, because we have no proper media here. Media's after the fact. I'm able to spot marquee players, and if you don't believe I'm able to spot marquee players, you don't know anything about Rashid. I mean, I used to joke, because these people on the PA were still calling him Rashad. So I would joke. When we were on the radio, I says, oh, there goes Rashad, joking, and then we'd laugh. They were still calling him Rashad Shaheed. Freaking, they still are over there. I mean, it's a clown circus. The hire on the football thing is the biggest fucking disaster in history. They were a top 10 team in the country. They didn't even go to the tournament. They won 1 home game. They beat Idaho. Abraham Williams is left, the All-American, who will be a super. There's no doubt will be a superstar in the NFL. I think he will too. I really think he will. I mean, he reminds me so much of Teron Johnson. He really reminds me of Teron Johnson in a lot of ways, physically, mentally. And so I was at this game in '98. It's like downhill ever since. But I will quote Harold Arsenault of the show right here at halftime. Well, 1999, we knew what we were. We knew how good we were. We went up there. That was no fluke. That was no fluke. He says, there's Paul Thompson. The great, incredible Eddie Gill. That was no fluke. We went up to Seattle. I'm in that game. I'm sitting with Dave Sakowicz. And we shocked the basketball world. We showed them who we are. We beat We kicked this shit out of North Carolina. That game was never even close. Harold Arsenault had the greatest performance of any player in the history of Weber State basketball in that game. But you had a coach, Ron Beglin, says, let him go. I mean, that guy was doing fadeaway, drop back, ready to fall out of bounds shots, but let him go. Just do it. Beglin was smart enough to know how to. Same way with Ruben Nembhard. They would get in trouble. When people would start knocking out threes on Nembhard and Jimmy DeGrafty, he would just go to that box and one. Say, make us beat him inside. He would slow it down. He'd call timeout, slow it down. Let's use up this clock. And they would they would spread the court. They would circle Ruben Nembhard down onto the post, which they could have done that with Dillon Jones anytime they wanted. And they'd go to Dillon Jones on the post, and he was like unstoppable. Or go to Ruben Nembhard on the post. He was unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. And so then they would start to collapse. He would just kick it on that baseline to Jimmy DeGrafty, and he was money. That dude, he should be the coach here. And if you don't think he's got any experience, Jimmy DeGrafty decided to coach. I got to tell this story about Jimmy DeGrafty. I'm a student professor at the #1 school of business in the United States, who's under investigation by the FBI now. This degenerate. I mean, we're following in football, we're following in basketball what we did to the school business. Paul Thompson to my face. I said, you can't fire Beglin. Well, you know, I'm under a lot of pressure by the NCAA. I'm under a lot of pressure. His hands were tied. I got that. He says, Kevin, Weber State is going to become the public Ivy League school. We're going to become this boutique, elite academia thinkers. I said, what do you mean going to? We already are. I'm the student professor. We're the #1 school of business in the country. Look at the test scores. 9 years in a row. We're beating Wharton when Muss is at Wharton. We're beating Harvard. We're beating them all. Weber State, a public entity. We're the #1 engineering school in the country. We're the #1 freaking nursing school in the country. Could be the #1 biology school, and I'm a BIS guy. So I'm in. Jimmy's a business student. And we're talking the hard. I'm the assistant. Me and Matt Godfrey are the two assistants. Go ask Matt. He and I were the two. We were the student professors. You had to teach class. Blah blah blah. Both of us being prepped to take over Clyde Cooley's program, or at least assist Clyde Cooley in our new MBA, which was coming. So they're 95. They're playing. I'm down there in Alabama, and they just beat the shit out of it. And the irony of that, they played Michigan State. Michigan State's coach was Jed Heathcote's last game. Weber State's last game in the incredible Swenson Gym was that place would freaking blow your mind. Willie Sojourner, Justin Thickman, Bob Davis, Dick Motta, Phil Johnson. Weber State's last game in there got beat by him, Judd Geethorpe, in double overtime. All those years later, Weber paid him back. I mean, 14-point favorites, Weber smoked them. I knew they were that good. I think Gordon Monson and David Locks is sent to the Wolves. They're going to end up arguing with them all. Then they play a guy named Allen Iverson at Georgetown. Had the whole game, winning the whole game. The incredible Ruben Nembhard. They got the ball, they're ahead. They're ahead by 1. Georgetown has to foul. Nembhard shut down Iverson the whole game. I think Iverson had 4 points in that game. The great Allen Iverson. What a player. So he goes to the line, and one of the great true free throw shooters in the history of the school. He missed the front end. So they're okay. They go down there. They back off. They don't foul like they're not supposed to. And Iverson throws up a Hail Mary from midcourt, just inside midcourt. And it's a Hail Mary. Probably the worst shot Allen Iverson ever shot in his life. I mean, it missed the rim by this far. If it had got a piece of the rim, a piece of the back, the game's over. But it was a clean air ball, and it was kind of like the Thurl Bailey shot to beat 5 Slamma-Jamma. He catches it and just puts it back in. It was like the most heartbreaking loss in the history of the school. Until the one in 99 when Dupay, who got busted for gambling, remember Dupay? Miller has him on that floor team, made a shot to put it into overtime that nearly hit the rafters. It was a Hail Mary from hell. They go to overtime. Noel Jackson had missed a free throw to win that one. Harold Arsenal. We shocked the world. Went in there. We should have never lost that game to Florida. I thought they were a Final Four team. He says, so we're waiting for the next team to go in there and show what Weber State basketball is. And to, show what Big Sky basketball is. And to show the world who we are. That was in 1999, he says. He looks right, his last words. We're still waiting. We thought this year with incredible Dillon Jones. Oh, he didn't disappoint. What a freak thing. So, congratulations to BYU and Utah State. Come on, Danny. Don't do what you did in the NCAA tournament the last 2 years. Get blown out. Yeah, Montana State. He's their coach. He played there. Smartest move. But I got to tell this story. Me and Kevin are on the front row right here. We're doing the game. Our little podcast. Because we used to do it for KWCR. They don't have it anymore. They got college radio. And so, sold out the Signal for $25,000. Degenerate. Kind of like Jay Hill leaves and bringing in a high school coach from the Midwest to coach the marquee football team when you have all those assistants. Kind of like just perpetuating the Randy Rayism here. Randy finally leaves, thank God. Thank God. It's like clockwork. You could say you got 20 wins and gone. 20 wins and done. At least they would go to the tournament. This is the longest spell in the history of Weber State basketball. They haven't gone to the dance. So they promote the assistants, been here for 20 years. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. And by the way, Compton, the athletic director is not Compton's kid. That's a different Compton. He's the old girls basketball coach. He's not Compton. We love that guy, right? Oh, yeah. He was the man. That's back when this arena was full when he was here. He knew how to promote Big Sky basketball and Weber State basketball inside the community. They have no clue. I tell people, hey, we got an NBA first rounder up here. What are you talking about? Oh, God. Here we go all day, every day. This program is what's so down, not with players. We've had more talent. Me and Randy Ray got the big fight after that Xavier loss, and they gave him an extension. I'm like, Randy, what the fuck? You're so much more talented. No, Kevin, it's not like back in the days when you were working with the Baglin and Brigham. We don't get players like that. What, you don't get good enough players? No, not like you got. You're full of shit, I told him. You've had more talent than any freaking coach in Israel. You mean like Damian Lillard and his cousin? And by the way, the CIT tournament, they turned down an invite. At least Randy Ray took the invite. Went to the championship game. The Pirates beat him on a buzzer beater. That's Damian's cousin. We had Joe Ballenboy here. We had Jerry Carding here. We had Scotty Bamforth, who's been voted the greatest native New Mexican player in the history of the state. He played here with Lillard. Now, talk about the backcourt. Yeah, Anthony Johnson had that big one, but players can't have games like that unless the opposing coach doesn't counter. It's like a chess game, right? Oh boy, it's like a fast speed chess. And so you call timeouts, you use them, and you freaking adjust. You go to a box and one. By the way, Montana didn't know how to do that either. Montana State is just going nuts out there on the arc. You go to a box and one and you push it. It's that fucking simple. You just move to a box and one defense and fucking they're going to score twos on you, so be it. Ain't fucking 3, which devastates a team. And then Weber State would go on these cold spells. So Weber State all season would go on these mega cold spells where they go 6, 7, 8. I knew there was a problem with this team when they went down to UVSU and got smoked and went 8 minutes without a point. They did it at Sac State up on the road. They did it at Portland State on the road. And you're like, what the fuck is the matter with this team? And because the dynamics of the coaching couldn't adjust. When you got in trouble, you got an NBA first rounder who will be a mega superstar in the NBA, could be the best player in the history of this school, saying a lot. You go to him. If we're in trouble, we can't fucking score. Timeout. Post freaking. Well, he don't even have to post because he plays point guard and center. Give Dillon the ball. Dillon, I don't give a fuck if you're triple teamed. Just do your thing. Go to work. Go to work. Slow it down. Slow down the clock. And on defense, we're going box and one. And we'll shut down this 3. Montana State's got to play a playing game. We've hit a new low for Big Sky basketball. Oh, fuck it. And the other thing, too, is we don't need to lead the Big Sky. The Big Sky needs to pull their head out of their ass. And what needs to happen, teams need to schedule make some incentives to get some good teams in here. You know, we get plenty of good players. You need to win all season. You need to have a resume. Now, if Weber State would have not lost those games, they were supposed to lose. They'd beat Oral Roberts, knocked off their 2-year home winning streak. They'd beat St. Mary's on the road in their gym. They'd beat Wyoming on the road. They beat the Jackrabbits here. All these marquee wins, but it was the lesser teams they lost. If they would have won all the games they should have won, then the team would have been sitting at close to 30 wins. Granted, they got knocked off in the tournament. It wouldn't have mattered. They still got a berth. You got a fucking, 30-3 team or a 28 and fucking 4 or 5 team, you're getting in. And these Big Sky teams can't do that because they're not ready early in they don't get that. And they turned down the CIT tournament last year. Says, I know. Went on vacation, put their feet up. Same old, right? I was talking to Pat Dantley. I remember that night is when the great Jeremy Boyette, I don't talk enough about him, what a player. That's when he signed, when they beat North Carolina. And Pat Dantley, who's his, compadre, came with him. Pat's here all the time. I really give Jimmy DeGraffi the job and give Pat Dantley one of the assistant jobs. That's what should happen here. So back to Jiminy. So he comes home from that incredible 95. We're talking the toughest fucking test on the entire campus, Clyde Cooley's finances. I'm the assistant professor. So I talk to him and I'm like, Jimmy, Clyde ain't letting nobody slide. We know that. He's the viciousest, meanest. He's the number 1 finance professor in the country. By the way, I have his last letter of recommendation he ever wrote. He gets mad cow magically, rises to get an MBA. I used to joke to Lee, what'd you put in his tea? Of course, he's under investigation by the FBI now. How's that possible? Oh, it happened. Same era, same time. It's like 99. It was over. He died in 99. That marquee loss up there, 99. Right now. Monica died in 99. It's like when Jordan hit that shot. All downhill ever since. The Wattis curse. You don't need to take that test. I'll give you some time. He told me that he'll give you some time, Clyde. I don't need time. I'm like, when did you study? I studied on Saturday because it was Friday, Sunday games, between games. Really? Yeah. Toughest test on the campus. Number 1 school business in the country. Oh, he got the class high. So he decides someone talks him into coaching high school basketball, and he comes out and coaches for a few years, just wins the state championship. That's all. And you think that's easy? So the athletic department here, the choices they made, Mickey Mental, a high school coach they brought in Weber State's deep in the tournament, 8, 9, 10 years in a row. What Jay Hill did here, and his players prove it. The players here, oh, fuck. If you're a player here, you're going to get X's and O's, and it's a boot camp, and you'll probably have a good career, but until they change a coaching regime, you're not going to the tournament. Ask Damian Lillard. Ask Dillon Jones. Ask all these marquee players. And when they have gone to tournament, it's been one and done. And not even close. I was at the game when Ben Howland, who played, Ben Howland was on the 78-79 team. The great Ben Howland. Yeah, he was coaching UCLA. It's like Dave Patton, the great Dave Patton, what a player. He says, well, when they have Michael Westbrook coming off the bench on that team, that game was over before it started. I think it was like 23-2, and then it was like 40-something to 6 or something. It was over. That was Randy Ray teams, right? When they had Ballin' Boy, and they got 15 seed, they could have beat Arizona, but they got off to that slow start. They come roaring back. What players they've had here. This decade, they've had the greatest players in the history of the school. That's saying a lot. They can't win. And Big Sky basketball has been downhill since that game in 99 in Seattle. You know what the game in Seattle was after that game? That was Gonzaga versus Stanford. And Madsen played on that team. What were they, 2 seed? Gonzaga was a nobody. Gonzaga played this conference and would get trumped. I remember John Stockton playing in here. We were beating him by 20-something. What a player, John Stockton, you think? Well, he got mentored by the great Ricky Green, who's still my favorite player in the history of Utah Jazz basketball. I can't stand the Jazz. I wouldn't go to a Jazz game. This is the Jazz who passed on Tony Parker, who passed on Paul, and all these scouts here at every game. whatever. And Dillon Jones was, I mean, he broke every record. He was here that night when Eddie Gill, there's a picture of he and Eddie and myself and him together. I mean, the odds, because Eddie's only come back here for the alumni game, which I gave him the MVP. Fuck, he looks like he can still play in his 40s. He was here when Dillon Jones broke Eddie's record, but I like Dillon. He did in 2 years. It took you 4, but Dillon is the best player I ever saw here. That's saying a lot in this building. The great Damian Lillard. Now, what Damian Lillard's done in the NBA is a legend. I mean, forget about it. I mean, actually, I believe personally that fire stoked from those losses here. He lost in the tournament 3 times in the Big Sky tournament. Well, the one with McCoy, he was hurt. They lost here at home. Remember, it used to be 4 teams at home? They got beat in the quarterfinals by Montana State. Then, of course, the Montana game, the Anthony Johnson passed away. I think those losses have created what Damian Lillard is. It stoked his fire, and he's got a fire. So, all downhill. March Madness in Ogden, Utah. Going. Who would have believed it? You know what the Big Sky is this century in the NCAA tournament? This century. 1 in 24. I think Larry Stoviak got a win from Montana in 2006 or 7. 1 and 24. And if you're gamblers, you know what they are against the spread? I think like 2 and 23. Montana State win the playing game. They're playing Grambling. I don't know. But they're going to have to play Purdue, who could be the best team in the country. It's fucking sad. Why don't we have NCAA tournament games here anymore? Because it only holds 12,000. They want arenas to hold 20, and then you go to them, they're empty. Bring them back here. This is the great Arnie Farron died this year. He was head of the NCAA committee. He got rings. NCAA championship rings. And one was at University of Utah. NCAA, the last one, that was in the fucking 40. Yep. He's got an NBA ring. So did Vernon Gardner. You know, he taught school here at Bonneville High School. You know, a lot of these ex-players end up coaching. I think the coach over Bonneville's played with them, and he's over there still. What's his name at Fremont? He played here with these players. So, you don't think coaching matters? Oh, fucking coaching matters. They're going to accept a CIT bid? I already know for a fact, because I've been told, even if they're offered, they're going to say no. Why? Time to go on vacation. It's Randy Reyes. Fucking real basketball starts in March. Somebody forgot to tell these coaches that. No, they're here for the money. They're not interested in winning. I mean, I think they are. I mean, they want to win, but not late in the year. I mean, it just becomes a cultural in-ground. I mean, you do it for that fucking long, it becomes routine, right? There's certain, I mean, just it becomes the norm. Well, we're talking an entire fucking quarter century of it. Again, Harold Larson of the show, the greatest single performance by a player in the history of fucking Weber State basketball. That's saying a lot. Ruben Nemhard, Justice Thigpen, Bob Davis, Willie Soldier, Ben Howland, fucking Collins, Bruce. This place was sold out when that Compton freak was the guy. I mean, it sold out every fucking game. So was football. You know who I sat and talked to when they came in here? At that game, everybody finally showed up, and I hadn't seen him here forever. Everybody showed up at that game, finally. Publicity towards the end. Jamie Martin. I talked to Jamie in here. Weber State has what? 5, 6 guys starting in the NFL? All undrafted. Well, TJ got drafted really late. So, Maxwell Anderson. Of course, the great linebacker here, Winston REID. Whew. I think he'll play in the NFL. You know, Mr. Atagi from Bonneville High School. Maybe. You know, we'll see. I see Opeta's playing for the... He's local. Salisbury High School. So, a credit to Jay Hill. You know, when all these guys left and went to BYU, wouldn't you? How about Eddie Heckard? He don't sign out. I told my son, my grandson's got this billboard he ran. I said, how'd you get him to sign it? He says, no, Atagi made him. He signed it. He'll play in the NFL. You know, they don't invite players like that to that combine. One word. Well, one name. Rashid, Shaheed. Who's the first person that called him out being the superstar? Oh, I did. Who's the first person that called out Dillon Jones as being the NBA superstar? I was second. Oh, man, freeze. So, what a slide downhill. College basketball in this incredible arena. We used to have March Madness used to be the most exciting time ever here in beautiful Ogden, Utah. You know. By the way, concerts here too. I saw Stevie Nicks. I'll go see her the 27th and everybody. I saw Fleetwood Mac in here. I saw Jets Hotel in here. I saw Men at Work, Alabama, and all these great concerts. They don't have concerts like that. They don't have nothing in here. Why? That's a good question. Stay in tune.